There is a war happening right now, and almost no one noticed it had begun. The enemy has no fangs, no venom, doesn't roar and doesn't threaten from a distance. It fits in the palm of a hand and can be crushed with a single step. And yet, forest after forest, vineyard after vineyard, it is winning. The question that holds this entire story together is simple and unsettling. How can something so fragile defeat an entire continent? The answer isn't found in the invader's strength. It's found in a void that no one saw in time to close. This story crosses two completely different worlds. In East Asia, across forests in China, Vietnam, and parts of India, a centuries-old balance kept everything under control for countless generations. On the other side of the planet, in the northeastern United States, and also in South Korea and Japan, an almost identical climate exists, with well-defined seasons and summers long enough to sustain exactly one life cycle per year. The true geography of this story, however, isn't mountains or rivers. It's an invisible network of ports, shipping containers, and ornamental stone cargo connecting these two territories without anyone needing to notice. At the origin, there is balance, and balance is always the calm before the storm. The protagonist of this story is the spotted lanternfly, whose scientific name is Lycorma delicatula. Its gray forewings hide a secret. Underneath, a vivid red ready to warn any predator. In its native forests, that warning works because spiders, praying mantises, and parasitoid wasps learned to read it long ago. Each female lays between 30 and 60 eggs in a single clutch, a number that would seem alarming in any other context. But here, that number is just part of a controlled cycle, repeated once a year, without surprises. The nymphs hatch black with white spots, grow, and become red with white markings before reaching adulthood. Insect-eating birds complete this natural containment system, closing the circle that keeps the species in its place. For centuries, this was a story without villains, just a mechanism working exactly as it should. But mechanisms can be pulled from their place, and what happens when that occurs is the true beginning of this story. The first step of an invasion never looks dangerous, because it's usually too small to notice. The spotted lanternfly's eggs are protected by a waxy coating that almost perfectly mimics dried mud. That coating doesn't just exist to survive winter, it also fools the human eye, disguising the future as stone. This is how the species crossed entire oceans, hidden inside blocks of ornamental stone and wooden pallets used in international trade. Upon arriving on a new continent, it found something it never had at home: a landscape without the guardians that once kept it in check. No spider, no praying mantis, no parasitoid wasp recognized that red warning pattern as a threat to avoid. But an even stranger detail was waiting for it. Another foreign species had already settled there before. The tree of heaven, whose scientific name is Ailanthus altissima, is also invasive and became its preferred host plant in the new territory. Two species foreign to the land had found each other, and one began sheltering the other's appetite without any natural force stepping in. What looked like an isolated encounter was, in fact, the first sign of an imbalance about to spread out of control. Without predators, a number that was once balanced turns into an exponential threat. Entire swarms began covering the trunks of grapevines, apple trees, peach trees, maples, and willows in scenes that once seemed impossible. Constant feeding produces an excess of a sugary substance known as honeydew, which encourages fungal growth on the plants. Entire vineyards, the backbone of regional economies and rural tourism routes, began facing losses that grew year after year. Local communities launched simple, direct campaigns, urging anyone who spotted the insect to crush it on sight, an almost medieval response to a modern problem. Agricultural authorities set up quarantine zones, trying to stop eggs disguised as stone from continuing to travel hidden inside commercial cargo. Scientists turned their attention back to the original problem. Maybe the solution wasn't eliminating the insect, but restoring what the territory had lost. Parasitoid wasps, the very same absent guardians from the native forests, began being studied as a possible biological weapon of rebalance. None of these attempts guaranteed victory. Each was just another move in an ecological arms race with no defined end. And it was in front of a single tree, covered by thousands of individuals at once, that the true scale of this silent war finally revealed itself. In the end, this isn't a story about a small, colorful insect. It's a story about what happens when a system loses its invisible pieces, the ones that never show up in photographs, but hold everything around them together. The spotted lanternfly didn't win because it was strong. It won because it arrived somewhere that had forgotten how to defend itself. And maybe that's the reflection worth keeping. Nature's greatest imbalances rarely begin with an attack. They begin with an absence no one noticed in time.